Hello and welcome to Mandobug Crafts, episode 73. What's up everybody? I am Amanda, but you may know me from on the internet as Mandobug. This is my crafty video blog podcast where I share pretty much what I've been working on with you guys. I am coming to you from Buckley, Washington, where I'm from and where I live with my husband and 2 kids. In this week's episode, I have some knit and some crochet and a cool little notions pouch to share with you guys. So let's get started. Something I've learned. So this is my last piece that I've learned in this vintage Prim hat. So this week something I've learned goes into finished objects. I finished my vintage Prim hat and oh my goodness, how gorgeous. So this is a pay for pattern by Andrea Mowry, and it's got this faux cable brioche section paired with just some gorgeous garter. And it really makes for a lovely hat. And if you've been watching me make this, you'll know this is inside out. This is the side that I knitted on. Brioche is amazing and it's reversible, but I don't feel like this side pops quite as well as this side. Did I do that right? Yeah. It just doesn't quite pop right. So, I will be wearing this hat inside out. I washed it and blocked it, and it's Superwash yarn. So the yarn that I used was Schmitzarella yarn. She's a local indie dyer in, Everett? Where's the tag? I don't know. I'll put it at the bottom of the screen. I think she's in Everett. And so I used her Spectacular base, which is Stellina Superwash blend, and I used Edith and Sybil, which is the orange and the blue. And so I did end up leaving a repeat out. So she called for 3 repeats. I left one out because I wanted more of a beanie fit, but dang you Superwash, blah, during the blocking process. So I got a little bit of a slouch, but it's not so bad that I don't think that I'll wear it. I do like it. It has a nice beanie fit, with just like, the tiniest little sag. But I mean, I think it's so cute. So I cut a repeat out, it bloomed, and so the brim luckily is still tight enough to keep it on my head, but the hat is kind of large. The brioche makes it nice and squishy. It's a fingering weight, so it's definitely not, sorry, I've got my hair. It's definitely not a full-on winter hat. This is more of like a transition hat where it's just a little cold, or maybe the wind is a little annoying. You throw this bad guy on. Or if you're trying to make a fashion statement, you could wear it in the springtime when it's not too hot yet not too cold. So that was all a run around of the hat. But what I learned, I learned a lot. So when it came time to do this faux cable, I talked about how I learned increases and decreases. Specifically, I learned a 4-stitch brioche increase, a right-leaning decrease, and a left-leaning right-leaning brioche decrease, and a left-leaning brioche decrease. And for the final shaping at the top of the hat, which is just amazing, by the way, and, I'm not sure if you can tell, but I did have a little snafu and I had to fudge part of it because I had a hard time doing the 4-stitch decrease, which is what I learned this week. It is a really, really nice decrease. It gives you this lovely centered decrease, but you are decreasing 4 stitches. And the very first time I did it, right here, you can see it's kind of like gaping a little bit. I didn't do a good job of keeping my tension, and so it's really loose there. Once I noticed that, I made sure to pull the stitches really tight on those 4-stitch decreases, but even then I was struggling a bit. So for the 4-stitch brioche decrease, I hope this doesn't sound as confusing as I feel like it's going to. You slip 2 stitches. You take the 3rd stitch and you put it on some sort of holder, like a removable stitch marker or cable needle, you could, but it's just the one stitch. You knit the 4th stitch, then you go back, you pass the 2nd over, you pass the 5th over, you pass the 1st over, and then that one you've been holding on to, you pass that over. Lots of passing gives you this nice little like point, but I just found it really fiddly, and I just had issues with the tension. But I love the result. Like, if done correctly, it gives a beautiful, beautiful decreased result. I struggled with it a bit, but it was something that I learned. It was really fun to learn how to do increases and decreases in brioche, and I feel like I just want to dive into more brioche patterns. I'm just enthralled with the reversible capabilities of it, and the squish factor, I just love it. I don't love knitting every row twice. But I think it's worth it. I think it's worth it. So I'm very much in love with my vintage Prim hat, and I highly recommend testing the waters of the increases and decreases if you've done a basic brioche. I wouldn't recommend this as your first brioche pattern, but if you've done a basic brioche in the round, I would recommend this pattern for branching out into increases and decreases. So that's all I have for finished objects this week. Oh, I did want to share real quick that I went down a needle size on this too. She called for US 4. I just automatically dropped down one. I probably could have gotten away with dropping down another because of how big the Superwash stretched out in the blocking process. And I didn't block it aggressively. I just gave it a soak, and which I didn't want to, but I know eventually I'm going to have to wash it. So I was like, you know, it might as well be where it's going to be. Might as well see what I'm going to get. And then because I cut out a pattern repeat, I only used 20 grams of each color. So I have 80 grams of each color left for another project, which I do have plans for. The orange, which, I don't remember if that was Edith or Sybil. My heart is telling me Edith, but I don't know if that's true. But you guys will see that in a week or two. I'm gonna use it in a knit along that I'm gonna be joining, participating in, not hosting. But so moving on to works in progress, I worked a little bit on my Staring at the Stars design, which I have in this awesome bag that a coworker made for me last Christmas. Just like another row. And you really can't tell the stitch pattern from far away. You get a little closer, you can see that it's the star stitch worked in the back loops, so you have this nice little ridge. And so I think I have one more row, and then it's time to start the decreases. I had to stop because I didn't have my mock-up written pattern with me, and I didn't want to go too far before I was supposed to start decreases. I couldn't remember. So this hat I am crocheting out of Haiku Sueño in one of their limited colorways. This is Haiku Sueño, Huckleberry Pie, and it's this gorgeous purple. I just absolutely love it so much. They have a black one too, Blackberry Pie, that's I want and I need, and I will make probably another hat with eventually. It's an awesome DK weight yarn, and so I'm crocheting this with a 5.5mm hook or eye, and it gives it kind of a more loose and open texture on that star stitch. Otherwise it's just too dense, and it's not something that you really like. I mean, crochet has the tendency to be a denser fabric already because of its not like nature, but I'm loving this, and this is definitely a warm winter hat. So that's going well. And then the other work in progress that I've actually made progress on, I left over here. I need to grab it. It's living in a plastic bag because it's giant and it fits in nothing else. So I don't normally work with Red Heart, but sometimes projects just call for giant skeins of Red Heart. I should have said no, not because of the yarn, but because I don't really have time to be making this project because I have so much other stuff going on in my life. But when you are a maker and your family knows that, and then friends are like, oh, I really wish I could, you know, make this for my daughter, but I don't know how. And then your dad goes, oh, my daughter is like, she's so good at that. You know how parents can be. So he volunteered me pretty much to make this blanket. And I can't say no. I can't say no. Partially because I really think it will be a great gift. It's for a 5-year-old. And then also because it's stinking cute. And I have been enjoying making it. But with gifts, with blankets, I almost always gear towards an acrylic, and Red Heart is on the lower end as far as costs. So most people prefer that. They're like, yeah, well, what can you make it out of that's not going to be so expensive? So this is and you've probably seen it, it's kind of a viral pattern, I guess you could say, because I've seen it on Facebook a lot, and I get tagged in, I'm sure you guys do too, get tagged in anything that's knit or crochet that goes viral on Facebook. This is the unicorn blanket with a hood. I'm not following any patterns, there's multiple patterns, but it's a pretty basic blanket with a hood, and so I'm just winging it. And so I started this last week, and this has been, there's my hook, this has been majority of what I've been working on. So I made it wide enough, and I can't even show you, it's out of frame. I made it wide enough that it would wrap around a little 5-year-old. And now I'm going to make it tall enough that it stops at her shoulders and goes down to approximately her ankles. Although I don't know how tall she is, so I'm totally winging that based off of how tall Emily is. Emily's almost 3. So I figured if I went from the top of Emily's head to her ankles, that should match about a 5-year-old, right? Yeah, this is my scientific logic. But yeah, I'm just double crocheting it. I'm holding the Red Heart Super Saver Jumbo skeins. I had one in stash and I used it all, and then I ended up having to go get 2 more because I'm holding them double using a 9mm crochet hook. So it's zooming, which is great. I probably only have a couple more rows till I get to the hood. I plan on just doing a square, centered square, and then folding it and seaming up the top so it's kind of like a pointed hood, because the whole thing has a mane, and so I think the pointed hood will help the mane stand up. Then it just needs ears and the unicorn horn. I have the sparkly Vegas that I talked about on last week's episode. She wants a pink and purple mane. I'm going to throw some of that Vegas in there with just some other pink and purple acrylic I have in stash. And I have a gold sparkly Vegas that I'm going to hold with some yellowish gold acrylic when I make the horn. And I'm thinking if I don't do a traditional joining at the end of the round, if I do maybe more like an amigurumi style spiral, where you don't try to join up those rounds and you just kind of let it spiral, and if I work through the back loop, I should get a nice like spiraled ridged horn. I think it's going to be really cute. So that's what I've been spending a lot of time on. I have an entire month to make it. It's another reason why it was not so easy to say no, because I'm like, oh, I can't do it in a month. So my goal is to have it done by next week, though. I don't want to push it because it's for her birthday, and I want it to be done on time. And I'm so excited to see her face. Now, part of my fear is that Emily will see this and then demand one in a way that an almost 3-year-old demands things. So maybe I'll end up having to make a second one for her. I'm hoping not, because I like to explore many patterns, and I usually don't make the same thing more than once. But if she really wanted it, I would do it for her. So yeah, let's get that giant guy out of the way. Oh, and then what happened to my show notes? What? They're on the floor. This blanket's massive. I have to write stuff down or I forget to talk about it. So I'm not so good at the fly by the seat of your pants, see where this episode takes us. So check it out. Well, and especially since this giant blanket covers everything on my table. Sometimes everything's laid out so I can easily find what's next. Blanket is not letting that happen. So check it out. This guy is amazing. I just picked him up this weekend. I cannot recommend this highly enough. So, I may have mentioned before, I work at a local yarn store. It's Maker's Mercantile in Kent, Washington. And this is in no way sponsored by them, but because I work there, I purchase a lot of their products. And this one, you guys, this is amazing. It's called a Snap and Go case, and it's the best little notions case I've ever had in my entire life. I've had a couple like this, but when you open one container, the entire container, like the entire thing, has busted off. So I'll show you. For example, this guy, this one doesn't have much in it. I can open it, and just that one section opens. In the past, when I've opened this, the whole thing's come out and everything's fallen all over the place. So I thought that I didn't like these plastic containers. This one does not do that. And it's got this really cool fold-out middle section, which is perfect to fit darning needles and scissors. And then the other thing that's cool about it is when you fold it up, you can't really see what's in your middle, but you can see what's on both sides just by looking at the outside of it. I love it. These Snap and Go cases. They come in different colors, and so of course I got the orange one. But we'd had them for a while, and I was like, oh, I should get one, I should get one, I should get one. Jack, you want to come say hi? You want to say hi to everybody? Hi! Hi! Jack had a popsicle. That's what you can see on his face. Popsicle. Popsicle. Was it yummy? Oh no. Oh no, that's the light. Light. He has just started talking like what feels like overnight. So Jack is just a little over 18 months old. And I don't remember Emily talking this much at this age. And like I said, it was like overnight. All of a sudden he's like, fan. I'm like, what? You just said a real word. He hasn't been calling me mommy. Like you heard him yell daddy. It took him forever to call me mommy. And now all of a sudden just words. Yeah. Yeah, light. Yeah. He'll come up to me and go, open door, please. Yeah. I'm real big on the manners in this house, so everything is, did you say please? Did you say thank you? You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. And so he went and played with some other kids, and their mom gave him something, and he goes, thank you, and she's like, oh my gosh, because he's so little. She's like, wow. Wow. God, he's such my mini me. Wow. But anyways, these Snap and Go cases, oh my goodness, I cannot recommend them highly enough. I feel like I'm going to go back and buy one in every color now so I can have one in every project bag. Hey, can I kiss? What is that? What's that? You want to go back out with Daddy?
No, Dad.
No, Daddy? Are you going to finish podcasting with me?
Camera.
That's the camera.
Camera.
Camera. Okay. Alright, Jack can't stay in here for the rest of the podcast because I need both hands and he cannot free roam until this room is cleaned up. So, moving on to current events. Yesterday was the third week of my Crochet Along Together, or CAT, that I'm hosting, that is sponsored by Skacel, and we are working on the ripple body now. So this is the project all folded up. We have made the big motifs and the small motifs and connected them. We have this long string of motifs. Now we're starting the ripple body. And I really love the way that it looks in the larger stole option. This is the pattern folded in half. But I just finished the scarf version. So for the stole you need 2 balls of Zauberball Stark of 6. But for the scarf you only need 1 ball. And so here is the scarf folded in half. And so you only end up doing 2 rows of the ripple. So you don't get as much of the ripple effect, which is mostly my favorite, but it does give you a more affordable option. But these scarves are so long. The scarf and the stole, they're just so much fun. Stand up a little bit. And I just think the motifs, it's a lot of fun. It's definitely different, and the way that the yarn plays, I just had a lot of fun designing this pattern and even making it up in the multiple colorways. So if you've been thinking about joining, this is the week to join. This is the week that the bulk of the crocheting is in. You can find the free pattern on Ravelry, Ripple As You Go, and if you go to the crochetalongtogether.com website, it will have all of the information about being eligible for prizes that Skacel is offering up. There's some really generous prizes. I know there are limitations. I think I said last week that it was only open to U.S. residents, but I believe it's U.S. and Canada. So I was mistaken. But if you're interested, definitely check out that website. It will have all of the details for you. And Skacel is hosting the chatter in their Ravelry group, so you can hop on in there and see what everyone's been up to and see how everyone else's yarn is working up. It's probably my favorite thing to watch everybody's yarn working up in the different colors. Surprisingly, I hate to say I have a favorite, but I think my favorite is the black and white colorway. It goes white to gray to black, and it just looks like if you took a picture of this one and put it on grayscale, it's just super, I don't know, vintage because of black and white, but I love the look. I need one. I need a stole in the black and white color. I think I would wear that more than anything. So yeah, that's going on right now. And then for upcoming events, my Podiversary is coming up. And I've never done anything for that before, but I was kind of thinking, I probably should. Why not celebrate the anniversary of starting my crafty video blog / podcast? So the very first video I uploaded onto YouTube was August 26th. Oh, I don't remember what year, but it's coming up on 4 years ago. I can't believe it, 4 years ago. It's just crazy to me. It's crazy to think about where I was as a crafter when I started these videos, because I was just learning to knit. And it's crazy to think how far I've gone. I now spin and knit and know a lot of new things. And it's been a lot of fun. I've met so many amazing people through this podcast, which is my favorite part, like hands down. This is just an amazing community to be a part of. I enjoy watching other podcasters, and then being able to put myself out there too. It's great. I love it. So I'm going to be doing a giveaway for my Podiversary. I have not picked out the prizes for that yet, but I will let you know next week. That's when I'll host the giveaway, because that's the closest to my actual Podiversary date. And then as far as other upcoming events, Halloween is my favorite time of year. I love the Nightmare Before Christmas. I love things spooky and Halloweeny, and so I want to host a Halloween make-along. This should be really easy. There's a lot of other crafters who hold similar knit-alongs, crochet-alongs, make-alongs. So you should be able to double and triple or more dip for prizes. I should have some yarn that I dyed up by myself and some project bags that I've made that are in the spirit of Halloween. This is going to start September 1st and run through October 31st. And so yeah, I'm really excited about that. I should note that if you're a vendor, if you sell anything on Etsy and you would like to donate a prize to the podcast, that would be awesome. Just contact me on Ravelry, or you can email me at mandobugcrafts@gmail.com. But yeah, I would be more than welcome to give away your prizes if you're so interested. And then that brings us to Let's Chat. So this is the end of my crafty content. So if that's where you're leaving, thank you for spending time with me. I enjoy chatting with you guys through video, through the forums. If you're a new viewer and you made it this far, welcome. I'm glad that you stopped by. And so bye to you guys. Everyone else is interested. We can start with kombucha. So Lori, my mother-in-law, has a bunch of wild blackberries by her house, and she went and picked a ton. And so I made blackberry ginger kombucha. Well, and actually, so this batch, I made 3 different flavors out of the batch because Josh has now been drinking it, and he really liked the pineapple that I made. So I made him 2 pineapple and 2 pineapple ginger. And then I made myself 2 blackberry ginger, and then I used some of my lavender that I harvested from my front yard, and I made a kind of, because I wasn't sure how I was going to like it, a weak lavender tea, and then I put a tablespoon of that in 2 of them. So 2 of them are blackberry, ginger, lavender, and I think I hit it like right in the sweet spot. It's not so lavender that I feel like I'm eating a flower, but the taste is there. It's like a very subtle, weak, like, oh, lavender. And I do like it. So I've been enjoying that. This brew is one of the best I've had so far. It's got, my SCOBY is getting much bigger. So the flavor's a lot stronger, and I bottled it a little sooner than I usually do so that it's not as tart as usual, also because Josh has been drinking it and he doesn't really care for the tartar vinegary taste. So I'm happy with this brew, and my brews have only been getting better, so I'm really excited to see how much better it can get. And now my mouth is dry. The blackberry's so good. She strained out all the seeds too, so it's nice and smooth. This is probably my favorite flavor I've made. This one's just the blackberry ginger. This one doesn't have the lavender in it. I already drank those ones, but so good. And I think I'm going to be starting a second brew soon. I'm going to need to get some new bottles and a new vessel to brew it in, but because I drink one a day right now, but I think I would enjoy 2. And then Josh is drinking one as well, so pulling 8-ish bottles every week or so is not quite enough for us. So, also for Let's Chat, oh my goodness, I just registered for the last 2 classes of my bachelor's degree. I can't believe it. I can and I can't. I've been working as a full-time student now for like well over a year and a half, and it's been hard, it's been rough, but I can't believe, like, you just do class after class, session after session, and then all of a sudden I'm signing up for my capstone class and the other class that I have left to take. They end in November, and so once I complete those, I can apply for my degree, and it just is so surreal to say that, because I feel like I've been working towards this for so long. If you don't know, I'm working on a bachelor's in business administration with the concentration in business analysis. And when I talked about my Excel class last week, I thought it was my business use case class. It is not. It's my business analysis 2 class. And actually, it's a lot more in Excel than it is in, or Access than it is in Excel. This week we're building relational databases, which interestingly enough, I have experience doing that in the military, so it hasn't been all that different. I was a language analyst in the military, and now business analysis. It's interesting to see the 2 where they converge and where my skill sets can overlap. So I've really been enjoying that, but boy is it a lot of work. I'm doing the 3 classes. I only have 2 more weeks of that, and then it will just be 2, and that will be much more manageable between everything that I have on my plate. And then once I finish my bachelor's, I am taking December off for the holidays, and maybe longer. I'll decide when the time comes before I start on my master's. Wow, I can't believe that I'm going to be working on my master's within the next year. This blows my mind. My garden has been growing amazing. I pickled zucchinis with my mother-in-law, Lori. They were so yummy. Actually, hold on. Let me go get you some. Or, well, actually, I don't have to go get them because I can insert the pictures. I took some video. I took some pictures. They're so yummy. We did a refrigerator one that we didn't can, and that one was sweet and spicy, and it was so good. And then we canned a bunch of bread and butter pickles, zucchini pickles. So I have the recipes to both. I will link them and put I will link the bread and I will add the picture of the bread and butter recipe, because that was out of a magazine from the 60s, I believe. No, the 80s. No, 86, because I remember I was like, oh, it was before I was born. It was a whole magazine all about zucchini recipes, so it's really cool. I will put the picture up for that. That's the bread and butter recipe, and then I will link to the sweet and spicy refrigerator pickles that we made as well. That I believe was on a blog. But all of that you will find in my show notes, which you can get to through the description box in this video. It will take you back to my blog, and everything will be in there. But those were so yummy, so good. I'd never had zucchini pickles before, and they taste a lot like regular pickles. Like, if you didn't know any better, you might not notice a difference. There's like a slight difference in texture, but only that it's a little like denser than a cucumber pickle is what I felt like. It felt like it was like just a little more meaty is not the right word, but there was a little more substance to the pickle itself, and that may also be because it hasn't been in the jar for very long, but they were crunchy, they were, you know, sweet and tangy and just delicious. So good. It was funny because I'm producing so many zucchinis because I have like a dozen zucchini plants, because I didn't know what I was doing this year with the garden, and I was like, well, I'm not going to plant that many zucchinis next year, but after having these pickles, I'm like, okay, yeah, I mean, I'll keep that number of plants. I am a little disappointed in my pumpkin growth. I have 6 or 7 pumpkin plants, and I only have 5 pumpkins. I have 4 large pumpkins and 1 little white pumpkin. So I'm hoping maybe more will bloom. I still have, you know, it's a month or 2-ish. I hope, because I have they're taking up a ton of space and they're just not fruitful. It's strange that they're not growing as well as the zucchini, which are right next to them. I don't know. But the gardening has been a lot of fun. But, oh yeah, and then I dog sat this last week. I dog sat this beautiful little girl. Well, she's not little. Siberian Husky, Ira, is my good friend's dog. So that was really fun. The kids had a great time with her. We did kind of have to watch her taking food out of the kids' hands, but it's because she hasn't been around it, and I can't blame her. So the kids have learned to yell at the dogs, which is not the best thing, but they'll be like, no, Ira, that's my food. And then I just went every morning and loved on our cats and made sure they had food and water and their box was clean. So that was a lot of fun. Emily, I took her over one morning, so now every morning when she wakes up, she goes, let's go pet cats. Like, no, not today. But yeah, that's all I have for you guys this week. So in the meantime, happy crafting. I will talk to you guys next week. Bye!